What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Shift on YouTube with Francisco Rojas. Today, I want to talk about players that possibly early on in their careers were on a track to getting into Cooperstown, probably the very early portion of their career, and for some reason, whether it was injuries, whether it was drugs, whatever it may have been, their careers were derailed and was never the same again. Before I get to today's player, and I want to hear some more players from you guys that you think that you want to hear me talk about. Before I get to that, go make sure you like this video. Go make sure you subscribe to the channel. Would be much appreciated. As well as go check out my last few videos. Did a series on players that didn't really get a fair shake on the ballot when it came to getting into the Hall of Fame. So I did 3 players. And again, if you want to hear me do more players in that series, would love to hear your thoughts. We did Jim Edmonds, we did John Olerud, and we also did Kenny Lofton. 3 players I definitely felt didn't get a fair shake on the ballot when they had their chance to get into the Hall of Fame. Didn't even get past the first year. So go check out those videos. Go make sure you share them on social media, whatever it may be. Go make sure you check those out. John Olerud, Kenny Lofton, Jim Edmonds. Go check those out. So back to today's video. Players that were on a Hall of Fame trajectory, but just fell off for whatever reason. And let's get into today's player. One of the first players that really came to mind, and this player came up when I was about 13 years old, 2009, 14. I was like freshman in high school. Tim Lincecum. Tim Lincecum was unbelievable his first 4 to 5 seasons of his career. And I know you all remember him. Tim Lincecum was unbelievable. He had that distinct wind up, the distinct just the way he threw the ball to the plate was just unlike any other pitcher we had really seen in the past. Just the way he threw the ball to the plate was just very distinct, unique, unreal, but ultimately possibly could have led to his demise after honestly 5 or 6 years, the first 5 or 6 years of his career. So, but just to kind of refresh your memory if you don't remember, but because it's been, longer than a decade since Lincecum had his peak, which was extremely early on in his career, and players normally don't have that type of peak, but Lincecum did early on, man. From 2007 to 2011, 298 ERA, over 1,000 innings pitched, 137 ERA plus, 37% above league average, 1,100 plus strikeouts, a whip of 1.188, and he won 2 Cy Youngs in his second and third seasons, and those were his first seasons where he had at least 30 starts apiece. And then as well as 2010, 2011, he also finished top 10 in Cy Young voting, and including 4 All-Star appearances from 2008 to 2011. And look, his 07 year, his rookie season was good. Look, he had 24 starts, an ERA a little bit above league average, but it was nothing like his 2008 and 2009 years. Right? He was the scariest pitcher in baseball, arguably. Kershaw didn't have his run yet. Kershaw didn't have his run. Not until like 2009, 2010, right? So, I want to kind of get into that meat of his 2008 to 2011 span. Yes, his 07 season was good, but just looking at that run from 08 to 11 where he was like a top 2 to 3 pitcher in baseball, you could probably throw in like Felix Hernandez or maybe Kershaw in a few years after that. And Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee, which I'm about to mention. 244 strikeouts per year, 220 innings pitched, a 281 ERA, and a 281 FIP. And again, like the innings pitched, like pitchers aren't doing that anymore. Like pitchers aren't throwing that many innings anymore. It's just insane. Just wanted to mention that. So his 244 strikeouts per year led the majors. His ERA was second for starters. Roy Halladay, who's a Hall of Famer, was first. His inning pitched in that span was 8th. ERA plus was 3rd to the likes of Cliff Lee, who, no, he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he was unreal in that time period. And Doc Halladay, of course, like I said. And then his FIP was 2nd to Cliff Lee. Hits per 9 was 2nd to Clayton Kershaw, future Hall of Famer, we all know that. His home runs per 9 innings, which was 0.6, led Major League Baseball. And his K per 9, of course, led the majors because that's what we all remember him for, were the strikeouts. So that 08 to 11 run was unbelievable for Tim Lincecum. He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. And then some comparisons I wanted to kind of give you guys here about like talking about this man was on his way to getting into the Hall of Fame early on in his career were Dwight Gooden. We all remember Dwight Gooden was one of the first that came to mind when I thought of Tim Lincecum and the start of his career, and then kind of fallen off a cliff more towards like 2012 and on. Dwight Gooden finished 2nd in Cy Young voting his rookie season, won the Cy Young in his 2nd year. Like, Dwight Gooden was unbelievable. He was unreal. I mean, look, obviously I wasn't born until 94, so I don't remember Dwight Gooden like that. But, you know, just doing my research and looking back, like, Dwight Gooden was unreal his first, like, 4 to 5 years of his career, just like Tim Lincecum. So no, Gooden didn't win the Cy Young in his first full season in the majors, but he finished 2nd. He was really close. So Dwight Gooden was the first that kind of came to mind. And look, with Lincecum, it was more of like, I think, injury problems and you know, the way he threw the ball. Just thought that the motion that he pitched, the force that he was putting on his body and his arm was kind of the reason why, you know, he wasn't the same pitcher after 2011. You look at his numbers from 2012 and on, just not the same pitcher. Dwight Gooden, his career was derailed by cocaine and drugs. I'm sure even if you didn't grow up in that time period, we've seen the documentaries, we've seen the ESPN, the 30 for 30s, on the 86 Mets and everything. There was I think a documentary on Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden, and it kind of documented that. So Dwight Gooden was a comparison that came to mind. Another one that wasn't exactly the same career trajectory, but Roger Clemens. He won, because I was trying to think about what other pitchers won 2 Cy Youngs in their first full seasons in the majors. And I'm thinking like 30 as a starter, like 30 plus starts. And Roger Clemens was the only one I could really find. Now I know Cy Young voting is different than it used to be. We take into consideration different stats, but I mean, Clemens deserved those Cy Youngs. So he won 2 Cy Youngs in his first 3 full seasons. And look, obviously Clemens, different type of career. I mean, Clemens, you could argue is the best pitcher of all time. Like, look, I don't like steroids. Yes. Like, there are guys who took steroids and didn't have the type of career that Clemens had into his like 40s. Like, it was unbelievable. So Lincecum, like Clemens, had the 2 Cy Youngs, but look, Clemens, obviously, I mean, with Boston, with Toronto, New York, and Houston, like, Lincecum, that was the one pitcher that I could think, like, okay, that had that type of start, but, I mean, Clemens he did that times, like, 5. Okay, so, yes, Lincecum, like Clemens, had those 2 Cy Youngs in his first, full seasons. But then, like, think about other Hall of Famers that, just to end the video here, just think about the future Hall of Famers. Pedro Martinez, Steve Carlton, Randy Johnson. A lot of these guys didn't have the starts that Lincecum had to his career. I mean, Lincecum was looking like a Hall of Famer for the first 5 years of his career. And he helped the Giants win World Series. I know we don't take championships into consideration like that, but Pedro, Steve Carlton, Randy Johnson, I mean, like, Tom Glavine, like, even, like, Greg Maddux, some of those Braves pitchers, like, these guys didn't have that type of start to their career like Lincecum had. I mean, Lincecum was looking like a generational pitcher, the stuff he had, and he might have been, just the way he threw the ball, the way he pitched just wasn't gonna translate longevity-wise. So, let me know what you think. What do you remember the most about Tim Lincecum? I mean, how fun was he to watch, man? 2007 to 2011, his prime years. He was so unreal to watch. It sucks the way he fell off. But I would love to hear from you guys. What are some other players that you remember had that type of Hall of Fame trajectory early on in their careers, and maybe injuries or PEDs, getting caught with PEDs, whatever it may be? Look, I'll give you another example, sports-wise, another sport. Shawn Merriman, I just happened to be looking at like the 2005 NFL draft for whatever reason, and Shawn Merriman was somebody who was unbelievable early on in his career, and then got, canned for, or whatever, not canned, but, got suspended for PEDs, came back, was never the same player. But I'm just, give me some players you remember had that type of Hall of Fame trajectory and then fell off because of whatever the reasons were. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know on Twitter at Rojas_media_. Let me know in the comments on this video on YouTube. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? What did you think of Tim Lincecum? What did you think of the video in general? Would love all of your guys' thoughts, your feedback, whatever it may be. Let me know, and see you guys next time.